The edge of the world, where land ends in a shatter of ice and stone, and the sea is a liquid antechamber to death. This is the Arctic, a realm of profound silence and unforgiving cold. Beneath the surface of these frozen waters, in the crushing dark, lies a treasure. It is not a metal that glitters, but a creature that lives. The sea urchin. To an unknowing eye, it is a spiny, uninviting sphere, but to a small, fearless fraternity of divers, it is a casket of gold. Inside its brittle shell are 5 delicate slivers of roe, a delicacy known as uni, so prized that it fuels a modern-day gold rush. For the men who hunt it, a single season can yield a haul worth $200,000. But the price of this Arctic gold is measured not in currency, but in minutes spent in a world where a single mistake means you never surface. The day begins not with the roar of a powerful engine, but in the quiet, focused ritual of a man preparing for battle against an element. The diver's boat is small, a hardy, functional platform against the vast, indifferent sea. On its deck, the preparation is a meticulous ceremony. First comes the thermal underwear, layers of fleece and wool, the first thin barrier against a cold that kills in minutes. Over this goes the dry suit, a thick vulcanized rubber skin with seals at the neck and wrists. It is not designed to keep the diver warm, but to keep him dry. Warmth comes from the air pumped into the suit, creating a thin, insulated layer between his body and the near-freezing water. A mistake here, a tiny tear or a faulty seal, is a death sentence, allowing the lethal cold to flood in. Then come the weights, heavy blocks of lead strapped around the waist, enough to counteract the body's natural buoyancy and the air in the suit, to allow the diver to sink into the abyss. Finally, the helmet, a complex piece of engineering that looks like something from an old science fiction film. It is locked onto the suit with a metal collar, sealing the diver into his own personal life support system. Attached to it is the umbilical, a thick bundle of hoses that serves as his lifeline. It carries breathing air from the surface, a communication line to his partner, and a hot water hose that pumps heated water through his suit, a constant, vital transfusion of warmth against the relentless cold. Every connection is checked, every valve tested. The man on deck, the tender, is not just a partner, he is the diver's absolute link to the world of the living. The diver shuffles to the edge of the boat, weighed down by nearly 200 pounds of gear. He steps off the edge and vanishes. The world of air and noise is gone, replaced by the profound, muffled silence of the deep. The only sounds are the rhythmic hiss of his regulator and the steady, reassuring beat of his own heart. He is now in an alien world. The water is often startlingly clear, but the light from the surface struggles to penetrate, casting everything in a deep twilight blue. He is utterly alone, a single, warm-blooded creature suspended in an infinite, frigid void. He begins his descent, a slow, controlled fall through the water column, equalizing the crushing pressure in his ears as he goes. Down here, the laws of physics are absolute and unforgiving. On the seabed, 100 feet below the ice-laced surface, the hunt begins. It is a slow, methodical search. The diver moves with a deliberate grace, his feet barely touching the rocky bottom. This is not a pursuit of a fast-moving creature, but a careful harvest. He carries a long rake and a mesh bag. His eyes, peering through the glass of his helmet, scan the rocks for the telltale shape of his quarry. He spots a cluster, their dark, spiny bodies almost perfectly camouflaged against the seafloor. With a gentle movement, he uses his rake to pry one loose and drops it into his bag. Then another, and another. It is patient, painstaking work. Every movement is calculated to conserve energy and air. Every minute spent on the bottom is a minute the cold seeps deeper into his bones, a minute the risk of equipment failure grows. He is in constant communication with his tender on the surface, his voice a calm, metallic murmur over the comms line. Moving east along the ledge. Good patch here. The tender's voice is his only human connection, a steady presence tracking his depth, his time, and his air consumption. The bag grows heavy, filled with dozens of urchins. Each one represents a few more dollars, but collectively, the weight adds to his burden, making every movement a greater effort. Time is his greatest enemy. He has a limited window on the bottom before the cold becomes too much to bear, or before he has spent too much time at depth to ascend safely without long, cold decompression stops. He must weigh the value of staying down for one more handful against the ever-present dangers. Finally, the call is made. Coming up. The ascent is slow, even slower than the descent. As he rises, the nitrogen that has dissolved into his bloodstream under pressure threatens to bubble out, a condition known as the bends that can cripple or kill. He must pause, hanging suspended in the water column, allowing his body to slowly readjust to the changing pressure. These stops are the most grueling part of the dive. Motionless in the frigid water, there is nothing to do but endure the cold, to trust his equipment and his training, and to wait. Breaking the surface is a violent rebirth. He emerges from the silent, blue world back into the wind and the waves. The tender is there, helping him back onto the boat. He is an exhausted giant, clumsy and heavy in his gear. Once his helmet is removed, his face is pale, his expression a mask of fatigue and relief. His hands are numb, clumsy claws that can barely function. It will take hours for the feeling to return, for the deep, cellular cold to retreat from his body. On deck, the catch is emptied, hundreds of urchins, a spiny, dark mound, representing hours of extreme risk and endurance. This process will be repeated, day after day, through the short, brutal Arctic season. The journey from the ocean floor to the luxury market is one of stark contrasts. On shore, the urchins are taken to a processing facility. Here, skilled workers, often the divers themselves or their families, perform a delicate operation. Each urchin is carefully cracked open. Inside, nestled among the creature's organs, are the 5 strips of roe, or uni. They are the color of a sunset, ranging from pale yellow to a vibrant orange. Using a tool like a small spoon, they are exquisitely scooped out, their fragility a stark contrast to the brutal environment from which they came. They are rinsed in salt water, graded for color and texture, and meticulously arranged in small wooden trays. Within hours, these trays are packed in ice and flown from this remote, frozen outpost to the finest sushi restaurants in Tokyo, New York, and London. A single tray, the product of a diver's life-threatening work, can command hundreds of dollars. For the diner, uni is a taste of the ocean, a creamy, decadent flavor that melts on the tongue. Its origin story, a tale of a solitary figure in the crushing, silent deep, is completely unknown. This is the Arctic gold rush. It is a pursuit driven by incredible profits, but it is sustained by a rare form of human courage. It strips away everything but the essential conflict, one person, armed with technology and training, against the absolute, lethal power of the polar sea. The scars, the close calls, the constant, gnawing physical toll, these are the hidden costs of a global delicacy. It is a world where a man's life is weighed against the price of a treasure hidden in the crushing, silent deep.